Hey, Nick.
Oh, hello, Tyson.
Welcome.
What's up, man?
Oh, it's we're back in lockdown officially. It's like,
yep,
things
stage 4, man.
Well, it's on its way. I'm sure it's on its way. And things are looking pretty grim, but that just gives us an excuse to watch a ton of movies and talk about them.
Exactly.
And that's what we're going to do here on Nic, Tys and Videotape, episode 146, Nicholas.
146 episodes.
That's it.
Tyson, favorite episode sticks out for you? 146?
I'd have to go back and have another look-see because I don't want to keep saying the same one over and over. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I want to mix it up a little bit.
You're going to have a look? The Back to the Future one was good with Adam
Stanford. Yeah, that was
good.
Actually a really fun episode. I've had a lot of fun with our guests. Actually, I've enjoyed a lot of our guests. And hopefully
we can do that again.
That'll be really cool. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll figure out a way we can kind of remotely get some guests in and stuff. It'll be a bit strange, but I think there'd be a way we could do that.
We could do that.
But yes, there are 145 other episodes of Nic, Tys and Videotape just waiting for you to be consumed. Nick, why don't you tell the people where they can find those 145 episodes?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is, if you didn't know, or if you've been living under a rock, there is a thing called iTunes. And on this,
what is this iTunes you speak of?
It is a program in which you can search and or subscribe, which is what we would love you to do.
Absolutely.
Of all different podcasts of anything you could think of.
Guaranteed absolutely anything you can think of, someone's done a podcast on it.
100%. I saw one the other day. It was literally on crosswords. I don't know why, but I wanted to listen to an episode, so I put it in my little. I haven't subscribed, but I put it into my little reminders box.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna look it up.
Why not?
I'm gonna give it 15 minutes. I think when you watch if someone says, "Oh, you should watch this TV show," cool. I'll give it. What's a standard, Tys? I give it 5 episodes.
Yeah.
If you're not showing me anything in 5, if I'm not hooked in 5. I'll see
5 is pretty generous, man. I'm 2 to 3 usually.
Yeah, 2 to 3 exactly. So I like to give them a nice 5. A 5. It's not bad. Type 5. I did that with Gotham. Jesus Christ, it's a fat pass. It's a full pass. What a waste of time. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are Nic, Tys and Videotape. If you would like to subscribe, rate, review, all of those things on iTunes or Apple Podcasts is what it's called now. We would love you so much. Other than that, if you do listen to us anywhere else, and hopefully you've just hit the subscribe button, thank you so much. Otherwise, do that now, I guess. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Tyson and myself are all over the social medias, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We post a lot of stuff on there, so that's good.
Nick, what are you doing? Get back on track, man. Back on track.
Oh, sorry. Other than that, Tyson and myself are big fans of the Letterboxd app. So if you are on Letterboxd, look us up. You can look up Tys, TYS_videotape, and I am NIC_videotape, and you will see that Tyson and myself have been chewing through the film, chewing through the celluloid at the moment.
Well, I mean, there's not much else to do, really. I mean, like I used to have a pretty active kind of life even outside of work, but at the moment it's kind of like work and then find something cool to watch because that's kind of the state we're in. So, yeah, it's one of the... There aren't many benefits to what's going on at the moment, but that is definitely one of them. Yeah.
So, yeah, jump on Letterboxd and you can see what Tyson and myself... And also, if you are wondering what we are going to be, obviously, the film that we are about to talk about, if you want to know what Tyson and myself have rated this film, we don't talk about it on this podcast.
We don't give a specific rating, no.
Exactly. You're going to have to download the app and look it up on there.
That's it. And there's heaps of really other cool stuff on Letterboxd as well. Yeah. It's really a lot of fun. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. You end up kind of... The way you used to get lost in IMDb is how you'll get lost in Letterboxd, except it's just a little bit more kind of... it's a bit more user-friendly in that way, so you can get lost a little bit easier and it's a bit more fun. Yeah,
that's so true.
Which I really enjoy.
There are other things like you can be a pro user and what's the next user?
There's Patreon user, I believe.
Patreon user? Yeah. So those things open up other options as well. Like because I'm a pro user, I have my stats section down the bottom, which is really nice to kind of look at all the actors and the actor I've watched the most in every single film that I've watched is... Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is Samuel L. Jackson.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's...
all the Avengers.
I think a lot of people would actually be in the same boat because Samuel L. Jackson is in every movie.
He is.
Today, Nicholas, we're actually talking about the film from 2002, Steven Spielberg's Minority Report.
Steven Spielberg.
Which is fun. Welcome back to the show, Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise.
What's up, Steve? And Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we did an episode on War of the Worlds. There are other kind of collaboration around this time, so you can go back and check out that episode. We had a good chat then. But yeah, we will be getting into a discussion on Minority Report shortly. But Nick, should we start the show as we usually start, because we can actually talk about something today?
We can. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk some trailers.
Everybody's talking trailers.
Well, we've just bitten the bullet and decided that even though we did say for a long time we wouldn't do Netflix originals, let's just do them. It's on.
Well, it's kind of unavoidable at the moment because cinemas are closed, Tyson. They're closed.
Yes, and look, it's for the best. I know that, overseas people are trying to kind of push ahead and just be like, no, everything's fine. And and just kind of business as usual, which is, I'm very glad we're not in that situation here. We're doing it very differently here. But yeah, it just sadly means that cinemas won't be a place we're going to for really quite some time, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, that's true.
And so if we want new movies, we're going to be going to, Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime. Those guys are kind of doing their best to churn out some new cool stuff, one of which we're going to talk about later in the show. But we did see a trailer for, what's this called, Nick?
This is called Project Power.
All right, let's talk about it.
Power, power, speak a little louder.
If there was a pill
Hungry for that money, I'm coming to devour.
that could give you 5 minutes
Spit it so they get it. I'm embedded with the power.
of pure power,
I'm embedded with the power.
would you take it? You don't know who I am and what I'm about, but I'll do anything to find that source. Listen to my voice. Am I lying?
Welcome to Project Power. Our goal is simple: the next evolution of the human species.
You ever taken one of those before? It can make you strong, make you invisible. You never know what your power is until you try it.
You push that power, don't you?
Yeah. On the streets, they're talking about superpowers, but they're not talking about how one hit could kill you. What's the plan now?
You took something from me. I gotta get it back.
Something or someone.
This thing is tearing our city apart. Your kid had something to do with it?
Where you think they got the formula from? They have my daughter.
Maybe we can work together on this. What do you need?
You still got them pills on you?
It's about to get real noisy.
So that's your power.
First, we stabilize it. Then we weaponize it.
Power goes to where it always goes, to the people that already have it.
They think they can just test their product on my city. We'll let them see what happens.
I thought we were like Batman and Robin.
Ain't no Batman and Robin. That's a movie. This is real life.
We doing this.
Tell me what my daughter is. We're gonna end this.
It's time to rise. It's time to rise.
You need anything else?
No, I'm fine.
Yes, you are.
All right, Nick. Here we are.
Okay, here we go.
I really like this trailer. Did you enjoy this trailer?
This was a good trailer.
This looks like a lot of fun.
The person who cut this trailer kind of knows what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always there's a really nice art form to a well put together trailer, and this is definitely one of them. It has its own little kind of mini story to it. It's visually, it's really interesting. All the beats, the cues, they're all there, and it's really effective. Linked up with the soundtrack, it's one of those. It's just a pristine trailer, and it does the job. It gets you excited, and I mean, this is obviously a genre we're always pretty pumped for, Nick. So
that's true,
and we get to see an interesting variation on that. Do you want to talk through the plot for us, Nick, from what you gathered from it?
What I gathered from it is that there is now a drug, so let's call it a drug, or a pill, a pill that you take that gives you powers. Now, I love the fact, for starters, that you don't know what your power is until you take the pill, which is fantastic.
That's it.
But also, they kind of alluded to you could take it and you could get a power, or you could take it and it could kill you.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It's
so would you kind of take the pill? It's kind of it's
so you mean like any drug ever, like
right?
any street
Obviously.
drug ever,
any street drug ever, exactly.
But yeah,
so it was really good. So Jamie Foxx, obviously from the trailer, I think his daughter has something to do with the origin of the drug.
Yeah,
or they get it from her.
So maybe her daughter, like his daughter, might be one of like an original superhero or something, or that her kind of her genetic makeup is kind of the next stage, like kind of the way we talk about X-Men as being the next stage of evolution. Maybe it's something along those lines. So they've kidnapped her and you know, being able to produce this drug from her.
And then there was sort of like you don't really know, you didn't really see them, but there was sort of like a government sort of people trying to kidnap her, weaponize the drug, and use it for their, financial gain, whatever.
I mean, stock standard ultra supervillain plot.
Exactly, massively
dipping
huge.
into the classics.
And there's going to be a lot of powers. There's going to be a lot of fun. There was a guy running around on fire. He was a Human Torch, and that looked bad. It kind of looked good, but it kind of looked like it hurt at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And also, Jamie Foxx stars as the daughter's father, and then you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is sort of a cop and is helping them out because it's in his city or whatever.
Yep.
And he clearly knows about the drug, or he's had a lot of...
Yeah, I think it's pretty common knowledge now. I think it's hitting the streets. It's become a much more popular thing. The other thing that we didn't mention is that the cool little element to it is that once you take it, it only gives you 5 minutes worth.
Yeah.
So you take it and you get your 5, and then you're done, and that's it. You got to take it again. So you got to use those 5 minutes well, and I think that's going to give us some really cool... puts a fun little time limit on some of these action sequences, so we're going to know that it instant. And we always talk about this. We like the ticking clock, Nick. We do. It adds a nice little dimension to any kind of action scene, any thriller, spy scene, any of that kind of stuff. It does.
Yeah, man.
So having this built in, knowing, oh man, it's only 5 minutes. We know it's gonna be good business.
Exactly. When are you going to take it in the fight? When do you take it at the start? Do you take it mid? Do you take it at the end?
Oh,
do you take 2? What happens if you take 2?
It's kind of like when you chose to use like your superpowers in Tekken, like when you got like fully charged and stuff, and you were like, "Oh, do I just use it now, or do I wait till it's like can be the final move?"
Exactly. So good. So the directors of this, I was actually thinking about this movie literally today. Do you remember? Was it another Netflix thing? So Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman did. Is it Nerve? Yeah, Nerve. Was that Netflix?
I never saw Nerve, so I can't say for certain. I know them most from Catfish. They directed
they did.
that
the
documentary back in
Catfish.
before it kind of took off and became a TV series. A movie, because it's billed as a documentary, but I think it's very carefully edited.
It was done well.
So I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it's a really effective film, and I quite liked it a lot.
I did see Nerve.
What did you think of Nerve?
I actually surprisingly really enjoyed it. Okay. It was a fun ride.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was
I've
just
heard
a bit
that
of fun,
from a couple of people, and so maybe it's worth having a watch just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And look, they did, apparently the Paranormal Activity movies that these guys worked on were the best ones.
Okay.
Which, take that for what you will. I mean...
That's true.
Whatever
That's
it's
true.
worth. I haven't seen any of those movies, so I'm sure...
I think I've watched... I don't know how many I've watched. I think I watched 1, 2, and 3.
I don't even know how many there are now. What are there? 7? 7 of them?
Pretty sure there's 7. Yeah. Yep. Could be wrong.
God,
could be wrong.
Pretty sure there's 7. They churned them out for a while, didn't they? And they made the mistake of giving them all subtitles, and so now I have no idea which one's which. If they had just numbered them, let's do it.
Do you want to hear them?
Can I have a guess at a few of them?
Oh, sure. Here, yep. So you've got the first one.
The first one was the second one, just called Paranormal Activity 2.
Correct. The third one, go on.
Paranormal Activity 3.
Yes.
Oh, good. All right, I'm doing well.
You're doing well. The fourth one?
Something to do with a dimension.
Oh, that's 5.
Oh.
But I'll give you that.
4
the
then.
Ghost Dimension.
Yeah, so that was 5.
Yeah.
Is 4 the
5,
marked
the
ones?
No, that's 6. Paranormal Activity 4 is just 4.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So they
And
made
then
it all the way to
5
4 before they started fucking with it. That's better than I thought they did.
They did. How good is that?
Yeah.
And Paranormal Activity 7 will come out in 2021. Thank you very much.
Hang on. So what was 6 called? The marked ones.
6 was marked ones.
And 5 is the Ghost Dimension. Okay, sure.
Yep.
That's a lot of movies. So these guys did 4 and 5, I think.
They did 3 and 4. I think.
Oh, 3 and 4. Okay, sure.
3 and 4.
So look, I have no idea how much truth there is to that statement, but apparently they're the better ones.
I didn't mind number 1. I'll just
okay,
leave it
there you go. Yeah. Number 1 was okay.
Yeah, I do have a paranormal. Is it a Paranormal Activity? I think it is a Paranormal Activity story. Do you want to hear a story? A quick story?
Always love a story, Nicholas.
It's a good story. So I think it's the one with the kids. Is it 3? No, it's 3. Yeah, the one with the 2 little girls. Anyway, so the trailer for that. My wife was in the kitchen at the time, and I was playing the trailer on the computer next to the kitchen. She hears the trailer. Now, my wife is only scared of 2 things: ghosts, which is a big one.
Okay, sure.
And mass and spiders, even in the smallest size.
Okay,
petrified.
Sure.
Anyway, so ghosts is quite a big one. So she knew what Paranormal Activity was, and this was number 3. The little girl in the trailer of number 3 says, "No, there's nothing. It's fine. Just turn the light off." And as she turns the light off, you just hear the music creep in, and you hear the little girl go, "Oh, I'm scared," and then Sam goes, "Turn that off. I don't know what it is, but turn it off." I turned it off, right? The next day, Sam is on the tram and she goes past the stop and it has the Paranormal Activity 3 poster.
Right.
She sees it and that night has the biggest nightmare. She's like, "Why did you show me that trailer, you god?"
Hey man, that is the power of effective marketing, right there.
How good is that? That's great marketing.
Yeah.
How good is that? I was like, I didn't even do anything. You saw the poster. It's not my fault you saw the poster.
Half a trailer and a poster on a bus stop. That's the response.
She was in. How good is that?
Yeah,
Full
that's
nightmares
hooked.
just from that.
I love it. But yeah,
I wish that still happened to me, man. That doesn't happen to me anymore.
Look, I still have the occasional, but yeah, my nightmares are much more like
realistic.
Yeah, like I've got a bill to pay and I can't afford it.
Mine is yeah, exactly. Mine is, I failed at being a father.
like real general, like legit ones.
Jesus, that's some heavy shit.
Let's go back to the days of when it was just a werewolf chasing me or something.
Exactly.
Not these existential crises.
God damn
crises.
Crises.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Moving on. Well, I mean, I'm really excited for this. The action looks really great. I love Jamie Foxx as, I always enjoy him on screen. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's he's an interesting one because I feel like he tries to choose good projects, but they don't always turn out to be that way.
That's true. He's kind of taken a back seat. I haven't seen him in a while. What was the last thing you saw Joseph Gordon-Levitt in?
He's popped up in this Amazon original about a hijacked plane called like 7500. However we want to say it, 7500,
yes.
7500.
I've seen that. I've seen the thing for that.
Yeah, I've seen it advertised on Prime, and I think about watching it, and I might give it a watch because I like him a lot. But I follow him on Facebook because of he's got that kind of co-op filmmaking thing where he just gets people to contribute whatever. It's basically, hey, I need a line read. Do it, and then takes the audio from thousands of people that do it and picks one that he likes. And so I think that's a big priority for him these days.
That's
but
good, though.
I like him a lot. I feel like he's a different guy now than he was. Like, you think of him like Inception, Dark Knight Rises time.
He was quite young.
He was young, but he was like... Nolan obviously had a lot of faith in him, and he's kind of hasn't managed to convert that the way like someone like Tom Hardy did, who was one of his boys for a bit.
Exactly, like springboard off the Inception, plane.
Yeah,
and then go from there. Like he's done a lot of films that I like, But yeah, just I was like, where have you gone?
Yeah,
so to see him in this, I was like, yeah, man, bring it back.
It is good. It's good to see him. I generally enjoy him on screen, and he's one of those few guys that doesn't look like he can pull off action, but does it really quite effectively. Especially when you look at something like Inception, you see him and he's such an kind of this unassuming figure, but he's really very effective in those roles. He just carries himself really well in an action environment. So I'm very keen to see this actually, and I'm looking forward to it getting uploaded so that I can just chuck it on and sit in my bed and watch it.
Sit in your own home and just watch it.
That's it, man.
How good is that shit?
How good is that? Although I do miss cinema.
That's good. One day
soon.
And I miss the outdoors. Okay, moving on.
Do you know what was, even when you were just telling me a story about your wife being on a bus, and I was like, well, I'm not riding a bus again forever. You know what I mean? Like that made me go,
horrible.
I miss buses.
Yeah. I fear going to the fucking supermarket. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Man, I'm strapping up like I'm about to go like apocalyptic style. I'm about to do the run in Fury Road. Like,
everyone's talking about like, oh, we're running out of masks. I'm like, fuck that. I'm getting full hazmat already before they run out. Full hazmat.
That's it.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Scary. Let's move on.
Let's
keep it light. Let's keep it light and fluffy.
Let's do our best anyway.
Yes.
All right, feature press.
Feature press.
And now for our feature presentation.
Okay, Jad, what's coming?
Double homicide, 1 male, 1 female. Killer's male, white, 40s.
Set up a perimeter and tell them we're en route. I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks. Give the man his hat.
The future can be seen.
All we have to run on are the images that they produce.
We see what they see.
There hasn't been a murder in 6 years. There's nothing wrong with the system. It is
perfect. I agree.
Murder can be stopped.
Tell me exactly what it is you're looking for.
Flaws. You ever get any false positives? We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will.
The fact that you prevent it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen.
The system can't be wrong.
You say something, Chief?
No. You're in a lot of trouble, John. I have a warrant in my pocket that says murder.
Don't run.
You don't have to chase me.
From 20th Century Fox.
He set me up. He set me up.
And DreamWorks Pictures.
Who's the victim? I've never heard of him, but I'm supposed to kill him in less than 36 hours.
He's coming here to get her.
Tom Cruise.
I need your help. If you contain information, I need to know how to get at it.
In a Steven Spielberg film.
I have to know. I have to find out what happened in my life. You tell me, who was it set this up?
I don't know.
How about now?
On June 21st, everybody runs.
I love you.
No, Todd!
Minority Report.
All right, Nicholas.
Minority Report, Tys.
Minority Report. This was my choice.
This was your choice. Good choice.
Well, yeah, look, it's one of those movies that I think I had a great deal of love for when it first came out. And don't really revisit as much as I would like to. It's kind of like,
really?
I bought it on DVD as soon as it came out. I bought it on Blu-ray as soon as it came out. But I don't tend to watch it very much.
Right, really?
It's a strange one. And I feel like sometimes I need an excuse to watch it because for some reason, even though I know I love it, I have this weird kind of like, oh, here we go, time to watch Minority Report. Like it's like I have to settle into it, and I have to kind of psych myself. And really? I don't know why that is.
And then you remember, don't you? And then you remember how actually good it is. You're like, why do I fucking watch
how
this
enjoyable it is.
I know what you're saying. I love the fact that I, for some reason, watch this. I've watched this quite a bit, and it is because of that reason that you're saying. Like I remember watching it when it first came out. I was still working at the video store. It was my last legs at the video store.
Yeah.
And it came in and I watched it and then I was like, this is amazing. This is so good. And just every now I'll watch it at least once a year, at least, right? And then I always remember that it's really good though. So that's funny that you say you because there are movies that I have that I go, why don't I watch this more? Like the other day, I'll get into it later when we talk about what do we watch this week. Because the other day I watched Best in Show, and god damn it, I love that movie.
Sure.
It is. I'm midway through, I pause and go, why don't I watch this more? This is such a good. I feel like that's such an old man thing to say, though.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's just for some reason, like every now and then there are certain movies, and this falls perfectly into it for me, where it's just you know that it's good, and you know that you really enjoy watching it every time. But when you see it on because it's been on streaming services since like day one. It's one of those movies that it's just it's so easy to see this movie. And I just scroll past it all the time, just like Minority Report, blah 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 blah.
Minority Report.
And I think it's one. As I was rewatching it, I was kind of like, this should be something that I am driven to rewatch. Like,
exactly.
If I think of like a dumb movie that we've talked about this before, but a movie like Troy, which is one of my favorite movies, right?
It is, yeah.
Take that for what you will. I know that a lot of people disagree with that, but for me, the reason why I know it's one of my favorites is because after about 6 months, I get a hankering to watch it, and I'm like, I really want to watch that again. God, I love it. I love that feeling I get when I watch it.
Yeah.
This movie, though, there's no reason why it shouldn't be in that same ballpark. Because I watch this, and there are so many great moments to this movie that make me go, fuck yeah, this is a great movie.
When you scroll... Exactly. And when you scroll past it, it's not like fuck off, Minority Report. No, it's God, that's a good movie. I should watch that again.
It doesn't even register on the scroll.
Exactly.
It's like it doesn't exist. It's like it just kind of goes. I'm like, yep.
It's like a Twilight movie, is that what you're saying? He's just, fuck yeah.
No, I never have the urge to watch it, which is really strange because whenever I do, like whenever it's accidentally on television or for the purposes of this, because we chose it, whenever that happens, my enjoyment level of it is always sky high. And it's just a very strange phenomenon, which I think there are other movies that are like this, and I can't think of them at the moment. But
that's true.
I should make a point of bringing them up when they do come up, when I'm just scrolling through and I'm like, see, that's it. That's perfectly it. That's a movie I love, and I would happily watch it any moment. But for some reason, I'm not even going to bother looking at it right now.
So true. So true. This is what other, apart from War of the Worlds, was War of the Worlds our last Spielberg?
I don't feel like we've Last Crusade. We did
Last Crusade.
We did that. Is that all we've done aside from
that? Is I think so. I think there would have been. Is there something a bit earlier in?
Well, we haven't touched any of the Jurassic Parks yet. We haven't done. We keep talking about wanting to do Jaws one day, which we definitely should do shortly.
Jaws. That's true, but this is. I really enjoy this, especially this Spielberg, because it's his what he brings to a film. You know that you're taken care of. The money's in the bank. There's no way that it's not going to be good in some aspects and you'll like it. But what I like about this is that it's his take on science fiction, and that this is his more adult films. So it's dealing, and what I love about this movie is you're dealing with drugs, you're dealing with murder, you're dealing with a lot of dark themes in this, which is not really, like, there are some movies, don't get me wrong, that Spielberg does deal with those things, but I remember when I first watched Minority Report, it's been a while since we'd had a Spielberg movie that was kind of this adult, which was so refreshing, I thought.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And I think it's it's that interesting kind of period of Spielberg, the director, because we like, I get what you're saying in that it feels more like because we have that kind of memory of all of he's like the creator of our childhood memories,
exactly,
and he's a big part in that. But we get this weird patch in the early 2000s, I want to say, where he was making movies that, if you are distinctively him, but only if you're aware of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you sat down to watch Minority Report without knowing it was directed by Steven Spielberg, I don't think you would pick it as a Spielberg movie.
No, you wouldn't.
But once you're told that he's directed it, you start to notice things. You start to kind of
you see it. Exactly.
Okay, there's some really... there are some momentary ideas here, and there are some things that he's carried through from other films of that period as well. Because I like... I should take that back. I don't particularly love, but I do find it really interesting that he had a certain visual style that kind of carried through with his sci-fi films of that era. Like AI, Minority Report, and War of the Worlds all have similar visual elements to it.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Like the way he uses light, like everything is really saturated with light.
Yes.
Even to an extent... No, sorry, you go.
Go on.
No, you go.
No.
The
scene that's right. The scene that sticks out the most in what you're saying there, and I actually really don't like how this is lit, and it's weird, is the scene where Tom in this movie is on the pier with his ex-wife.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's his wife, and it's what he's doing is it looks like he's using natural light, but it isn't natural. It just
no, and it gives
off.
the illusion like you can't see anything on the horizon. All you can see is just brightness.
You might as well have Tom cut out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then stuck him onto a green screen or whatever, because it's just too washed. Like,
yes,
I can't see
exactly.
anything.
And that's something that carries through a lot of this. Like the guy that runs like the fantasy place where.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, and there's a scene where he's helping him out, and because he's got an afro. But it looks, the way that's lit, it looks like he's kind of like it's on fire. His hair's on fire because there's all this brightness
because of the light.
That's
because of the light already.
Yeah, and it's just, and even to an extent, if you remember in Saving Private Ryan how he was using that kind of those like the smudges of light, like the way, and it would kind of spread over the screen.
Eclipse. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's kind of like an extension of that, except now because we're in these futuristic movies or science fiction movies, instead of it having like a kind of a earthiness that it has in Saving Private Ryan, it has this kind of mechanical feel to it, like this coldness and stuff. Which, to be honest, it's interesting. I don't love it. I actually I like that he's kind of grown out of that a little bit, but it's a really interesting feature of that decade of his films, I reckon.
Yes. It's the same as if you look at early JJ and his overuse of
the lens flare stuff.
Lens flare,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone's got a trope, or everyone's got a little thing that they're hot on the money of. Unfortunately, James Cameron hasn't let go of his, and 3D is still his thing.
Exactly.
Good luck to you, James.
But yeah, so it's if you look at his films since then, though, he clearly has grown out of it, which I think is interesting. It was just this. It was that kind of that momentary experiment that he had. Even something like Ready Player One, which you think he would employ more of that kind of stuff. He doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not in there at all. It's a much warmer movie. But yeah, so it's an interesting patch for Spielberg, and I think this is probably the best of those three movies. I'd have to watch AI again to really be sure.
I'd have to watch AI again. It's always on my list. I've got it saved. It is a collaboration of two minds, and I think he did really well with what Kubrick left him. But yeah, I think Minority Report it's almost like the hidden gem of Spielberg's list.
Well, it doesn't get brought up very much. Like I think people just kind of like maybe this is part of what I was saying before. It's for some reason easily dismissible, and I don't understand that why.
That's ridiculous. Like hilarious. If anything, you're dismissing The Lost World. I mean, come on.
Poor Lost World. It's not that bad at all.
It's sad.
It's fine. It's fun. That sequence with the van falling over the cliff, like that's top tier.
When was the last time you watched it, Tyson?
It's been a little while. But no,
there are moments where characters just disappear, and you're like, "Where the fuck did he go?"
Yes, I know. Look, I know there's stuff wrong with it, but I think there's some great, like in the
man. There's some amazing stuff in there
when they're
as
in the tall grass and everything. Don't go into the tall grass.
It's so good.
That's top tier. Anyway,
but no one's watching that. If you want to watch Jurassic Park, you watch the original.
Didn't you give me Always on DVD? Was that you?
I did do that, Tyson. I did do that. That was season 1 of Nic and Tys and Videotape. I still have not
watched Always on DVD.
You should watch that.
That'll come around at some point.
Gave it to him on Tyson's birthday when we first did this podcast. I was like, Tyson, here you go, man. I gave you what else? I gave you something else, didn't I? Was it something else?
The Great Escape, I believe it was.
Yes.
Yeah, good choices.
The Great Escape.
A Spielberg movie I'd never seen that I like. That, I mean, why?
You have to see it now.
I've got to see it at some point. Why would I just choose not to watch it? It's Spielberg.
Exactly. John Goodman, man. Come on.
He's
I love
the selling
John
point.
Goodman.
He's the selling point, I bet.
Not Richard Dreyfuss. John Goodman.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh my God, there's Holly Hunter in this thing.
I was about to say, who's the chick in that? It's Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter. Well, I'm definitely watching Always. Tys, can I borrow your Always, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Very good.
Very good.
What else? Well, I'm just checking my notes. I'm going to see what I've got here.
Shall we start with the Cruiser?
Let's do that.
Let's start with the Cruiser.
Tom Cruise.
Because we love the Cruiser.
Look, we're big fans here. We've said that a bunch of times. Yeah, look, you know, personal choices aside, he makes
personal life is his own business.
That's it. He's an absolute lunatic, but he's great in a movie.
He is.
And this is speaking of like interesting patches in both of these people's career. I really like this patch of Tom Cruise's career as well, because he's you know, it was that weird kind of middle point where he was starting to realize that he couldn't be a romantic lead anymore because it was weird, and he wasn't the young kind of charming thing anymore. Well, he still was to a degree, but he was starting to transition out of that. And he was playing more, you know, more damaged kind of characters with a little bit. They were more interesting, you know. And I really like this patch of his career generally.
How good is The Last Samurai? God damn it.
Well, Last Samurai is one of my absolute favorites, and that's in like the I was just saying before, that's like in the Troy.
That's in the Troy bag?
Troy bag for me.
Yeah.
Where I know that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but
I like it. I
absolutely love it. But yeah, like that's it. You know, we've got stuff like Collateral as well, working with Michael Mann playing an assassin. You know, the last thing before this, which was Vanilla Sky, was a real strange film and a real kind of almost playing with the Tom Cruise persona of being the hunky leaning man by then making his face all fucked up and kind of using that against the audience a little bit. So yeah, I'm digging this Tom Cruise. He's doing a lot more interesting stuff. He's starting to play with that persona, and this is like you were saying, this is a movie that you forget sometimes how like adult the themes are that it's dealing with.
Exactly. This is some dark Tom Cruise, and that's why it's kind of my favorite as well. Like, you do get that in Vanilla Sky. It's been a while since Vanilla Sky, but you know, it's a big. You're just seeing. He's playing a character who's a hurting father who tries to get lost in his work and just is just kind of just dealing and hasn't been able to dig himself out of the depression that he's in, you know,
and you know, with good cause. Like, I think they do a really nice job of setting up that he's failure, because it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, hey man, just get over it. Like it's not like the child died of an illness. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
like,
it is kind of his fault.
Yeah, and but in the most innocent of ways. Like, I watched that flashback, and I think that's one of the standout moments of this movie. Yeah. It is so well put together because it is literally an instant, and Spielberg really
could have happened to anyone.
It could have happened to anyone, and he makes it really a real deliberate choice to make sure that it's not. It wasn't a moment of negligence at all. No, it was a second of distraction, and that's all it took. And I think that's really clever the way they do that, because that's the kind of thing that you wouldn't get over. That it's not as easy as just saying you need to live with, you know, the sadness of this. It's actually legitimately something that would plague you forever, because it's so so frustratingly short. The mistake that you made.
It's not a car accident. It's not illness.
Exactly.
It's not, you know, it's not something tragic like that, which you could find maybe some peace in eventually.
Yeah,
but no, this is Jesus.
I was even thinking of something like I was thinking of the kidnapping scene in Ransom, which I think is really good as well. Even that
good movie.
I think that's another example of something where it's like there is more acceptance in that because of the circumstances. It's fascinating to watch that scene because it's put together so well, and at no point do you think he's done the wrong thing, but you understand his guilt.
Because you would be in the same boat.
Oh, of course. No public.
After
balls.
watching that, now that I have a son, we're going to be swimming over where, you know, there are no people at all ever,
and just hold on to his leg at all times.
Exactly. Yes. If I go under the water, I'm just going to keep hold of him.
That's it. Exactly right.
Jesus Christ, scare the shit out of me.
I think he does this really well. This damaged kind of guy, because he still gets away with all the action extravaganza, and he still gets to be a bit kind of Tom Cruisey, where he's a bit charming, a bit kind of, you know, a personable dude. But then when he goes home and does, you know, takes the drugs and watches the videos obsessively, it doesn't seem completely out of place. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Which is hard to pull off.
Yeah, the lead up with the running in the sprawl with the dark and the advertisements everywhere. I love that scene. That's a great scene.
Oh yeah,
very. It's Spielberg. Is this a Philip K. Dick story, Tyson?
Yeah, it is Philip K. Dick story.
It is Philip K. Dick. It's a very it has a very Blade Runner feel. This movie.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty strong influence on at least the production design.
Yeah, which I love. The production design of this movie is great. Like it's in the future but things you can clearly see there's kind of a shift. You've got the uber rich and you've also got the insanely poor.
Well, it's something that I kind of I forgot about and didn't really notice.
Yeah.
Didn't really think about until this watch. Is that he does a really subtle job. It's not subtle, but it doesn't draw attention to it. Just how much poverty there is, and so you get the burbs in the first scene. But what I love about the burbs is how cookie cutter they all are. Like we talk about it now when it's like you go to these estates and every house looks exactly the same, but they're clearly like that's just upper middle class is just you're in these same cardboard cutout houses that are exactly the same for a whole street. But then you've got like guys in hotels that there's these scungy things and there's drug addicts everywhere and like people on the street, even where he goes for a jog is frequent, it's graffitied, it's frequented by kind of nastier people and stuff like that. So I'd forgotten how much this movie, without really kind of making a point about it, shows that class struggle of what's going to probably most likely where we're going to end up if we'll be honest about it.
Yeah, 100%. The scene where it kind of, he doesn't draw attention to it, but I agree. Like it shows it in different stages. Like even Tom Cruise's house it would be a very nice apartment. Obviously if it was, a bit more clean and things like that. But where he goes to, you go from that house to, what's his name? What's the head of pre-crime's name?
Lamar
Burgess. You go to his house and he's clearly in a mansion.
Oh,
and
like
then,
a fuck off mansion. It's
a massive mansion. And then from there, where John Anderson goes to change his eyes out, is like just fucking Scumville. And he shows it in a beautiful way, Spielberg, with those spiders that scan your eyes, like showing all the different people in all the different ways of life. Like
the overhead camera shot showing
just
showing that slum is so well put together. And like I said, he's not out there making this huge grand statement about this class warfare, but it's just in there.
No.
It's just there. It just makes you appreciate like that kind of world building where he's just like, I don't want it to be a big thing. I don't want to try and like derail thematically what the movie is about.
Yeah.
But it still represents those opposite sides of the situation where we've got this lifestyle where crime, murder doesn't exist anymore, but it hasn't created a like heavenly dystopia. If anything,
exactly,
these people that would commit murder who now don't because they know they're going to get caught are now in a cycle of poverty and drug abuse and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. It is.
Here's a question, Nick. Why would anyone commit a murder?
If they knew?
So, for instance, that whole opening scene.
What do you mean?
Right?
Yep. Great scene.
It's a great scene. It's got a ticking clock. I like it. No, it is a really great scene. And it's a great introduction to the world because you get to see how everything works. You get to see him in action. You can see how capable he is, how great at his job he is, the system itself.
Pre-crime works, everything.
And just having... is Colin Farrell around for that scene? No, he's not.
He is.
He's
very,
watching that?
very briefly.
Yeah, okay.
He's watching it just from the sidelines and kind of gets pushed aside because he's trying to intervene. And
so we get those really nice little moments of expository dialogue without it being on the nose because we have a character here that's actually asking the questions for a legitimate purpose. He thinks he's trying to investigate it as a process, so he needs to ask those questions. But that's something that I found weird. So this guy who's going to stab his wife with the scissors, people must know. People know, surely.
Well, they do know, but I think because, like I said, the distinguishable between the red ball and the brown ball. Red ball is the crime of passion.
True. They do mention that they haven't seen a brown ball for a while when it comes out.
Exactly. Yeah, because no one's doing it anymore. No one's, premeditated. This is just a crime of passion. And so, so obviously you wouldn't do it. But the thing to me is like, is this just in this state? Is pre-crime just in this state, or is it nationwide?
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel like it's just in that state. I think there's something said, and it's just in that state, but I could be wrong.
Well, there's the whole the whole point of Lamar's trying to get it to go. He wants it to go national? Is that what he's saying, or
to go national?
Worldwide?
Exactly. Yeah, national. He says.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's obviously an element where it's still in its earlier days. It's been very successful so far. It's funny. Yeah, it'd probably be. If you think about it, working for pre-crime would probably be a pretty cruisy job. It would suck for the first 10 years or so, but then from there you'd be like, "Hey, no, it's all good. I haven't worked it. I haven't stopped a murder in 10 years. I'm just here watching the screens."
Exactly. Yeah. Do you think, kind of getting to the crux of the movie, Tyson? Do you think that pre-crime works? Are you a believer in pre-crime, or do you? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? It's a massively loaded question, especially because of what we see throughout this film, which is really great of the precognitives and what they've gone through to get to this point, and how they're not really living. They're people. And because of their ability, Burgess has kind of taken advantage of what they can do, and it is a good thing what they can do. They are stopping, but it's kind of a question of at what price are we?
Look, it's an ethical conundrum of pretty massive scale, and probably one that I'm probably not qualified to weigh in on. But I think that's what makes the movie so effective.
Yeah,
is that it kind of doesn't make a decision for you either. Like, it doesn't say whether it's good or bad. I think what gets breezed over a little bit in the finale is that it's not a good thing. Like, it's not the best thing.
Yeah,
it's good that they get to live out their life in somewhat peace, and Tom Cruise is getting to he's reunited with his wife, and they're going to have another kid. But murder will begin again. Will become a thing.
People will still be murdering.
Yeah, and it's now so it only gets mentioned kind of in passing, but it's like, at what cost is? So we have a happy ending for our protagonists, but what is at what cost? You know what I mean? And I think
the world now going to go back to?
Yeah,
sort of thing.
And I think that's the movie in a nutshell, and that's kind of the whole decision that Lamar has to make when it comes to that final scene, which I think is great because it's really, it's a really great little twist on that, because Tom Cruise gives him two options, firmly believing that they are the only two options, but he finds a third option, which then does kind of throw a spanner in the works.
It does, yeah.
Which and I think that's really effectively done. And if the movie is trying to say anything, it's talking about free will and the idea that if you know the outcome of your choices, will you change those choices, or can you change those choices?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think whether or not it's for good or bad, I think it's saying that we still have the ability to choose no matter what, and that's kind of the brunt of it. And I think that's maybe worth murder. I know that sounds really weird, but you know what I mean.
It's hard. Yeah, it's a loaded question. Like it's hard to kind of. What kind of, where do you draw the line, or what justifies having to ruin three people's lives for the fact that no one can murder each other anymore? Like, is that worth it? Is that what we're going to do now? It's great.
Well, I think the movie sets it up really perfectly with that conversation that Colin Farrell and Tom Cruise have he rolls the ball along the table and Colin Farrell catches it. I think that's kind of that's the movie in a nutshell. Why did you catch it? Well, it was going to fall, and he says, but it didn't.
But didn't you caught it?
You caught it, but it was. Are you certain it was going to fall? And I think that's the bottom line of that movie. Like, that's the kind of thing that can make your head explode.
Yeah.
And I think
true.
The movie never stops being entertaining because of that. You know what I mean? Like, there are movies that can be about these kind of existential questions and get bogged down in them and become really kind of dry, and you end up just kind of sitting around in a room going, okay, cool, it's asking a lot of questions, not really giving us any answers, and it's not really being entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas this is not like that at all. This is kind of it kind of wraps up that question in this kind of Hitchcock Man on the Run kind of thing. And that's really effective, I think.
So many good moments of that in this. Like there's no one scene in this movie where you're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember this. I'm gonna just tune out for a bit. I don't know what's going on.
No, well, you kind of want every really single bit. Out.
You're getting, not only are you getting exposition for something new or something that's about to happen, but he's like, I love the fact that not only is he trying to find out why or who he's going to kill Leo Crow, but also the Anne Lively thing just keeps coming back throughout the whole thing, which ends up being the kind of crux of what's going on, and in the finale of the film, and it's so well spaced out and so well put together that you're not forgetting about them, but you're not overly driven by one narrative in just one section. You're like, no, remember this. You keep coming back here and there, and then in the middle of that, you're getting all of these like intense action sequences as well, because that scene in the alley with the jet fighter packs and his team kind of landing. I love it because I love scenes like that, because it's like he's their boss, and they're like, come on, man, let's not do this. And he knows everyone's weaknesses. He knows, I know that, so-and-so, maybe got a bit of a bad knee, or have you, doing all this stuff. It's such a good movie. Such a good movie. Yeah, you're right. They build the action sequences around character really well, as opposed to just being action sequences for action's sake. Yeah, exactly. You get, Martin, is it Martin McDonough? No, that's the Martin
director.
McDonough.
No, Martin, that's not his name.
Google?
What's his name? From
Cap.
Yeah, Duggan. What's his name? God, he's
Michael McDonough.
Is it Michael McDonough?
Oh, it's Neil McDonough.
Neil McDonough. Yeah, who I always enjoy. He pops up in a lot of stuff, and he's a great little character actor. And you can see that they're mates, that he's doing what he needs to do, but he's not ever going to push the line to, like, they're never going to use excessive force. They're never going to, even little bits like when he takes the jetpack off that guy and he's like, have you got a grip? You make sure you're holding on.
Are you holding on? Holding on? Yeah.
It's really so nicely planned out so that we don't ever have those mindless scenes where it's just cops coming at him and he's just disposing of them and we're like, well, who was that? Who fucking cares? Yeah. You know what I mean? They're actually kind of given weight to their relationship with him. And you get that other guy as well, like the other main cop who gets most of the dialogue, who obviously, who for some reason doesn't like Tom Cruise's character. You can see that he's not the biggest fan of him, and he's
the other dude who jumps on the jetpack.
He's much more willing. He's kind of more like, nah, if we got to do this, we're going to do it. It's just
we're going to take him down. That's
so
true.
They build a lot of great character interactions out of the action sequences, which is really cool, and I enjoy it a lot.
That's true. I do have one every time I watch this, and I've watched this a fair bit. And I'm a big fan, but every time I watch this, I want to punch Colin Farrell hard.
Oh, interesting.
In the face. He plays a great fucking prick in this. Like,
I would agree. I think he's really effective, and I think it's a great performance.
Oh, he's doing really well, and that's why I want to hit him. Like, I love Colin Farrell, but Jesus, man, like, his character is just an ass.
But I love that he's a character that like. A worse movie would just make him an asshole the whole way through. Like,
yeah, right. He turns.
It's so much smarter as a movie because they allow him to learn, and he kind of goes, I think I might have been wrong about this. And he's the one that figures it out first. He's the smartest one, which is kind of great because even at that point, Tom Cruise has still got no fucking idea. It takes him that moment until they're on the pier, and he has that kind of revelation
and he's like,
where he's,
oh, what the fuck?
And Lively, oh shit, I've been a fucking idiot. And And to be honest, we're all kind of in a similar position. It's not until Colin Farrell has that conversation with Lamar that I think the pieces all kind of fit together for us. It has been it's one of those movies that I would love to watch for the first time again, just to see how much I could piece together.
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
Colin Farrell does.
I don't get any of that. I'm always the last person. Like, every time I watch a movie, I'm too far into it. I'm the one, like, at the end of Inception, at the end of Inception, when it didn't drop, I screamed in the cinema. I was like, oh my God, it didn't drop. Like, my friends were so embarrassed, man. I apologize. Ben, Rob Dog, if you're listening, sorry about that. Yeah, so in this, I completely agree. I think it's great. I do question just a little bit at the start what his motive is to make him go after John that hard.
I get you.
It's not a question of is it that he wants his job. It's more that it can't just be him going after John's job, because his it doesn't match with how hard he's going after him. Like, you don't just break into someone's house and collect drug evidence or whatever just to make them lose their job.
I get where you're coming
from.
Do
you know what I mean?
I feel like he, and it might not be explicitly stated, but I feel like he is the one that has the most ethical concerns about pre-crime in itself. And I think they do an okay job, and, like, you know, every movie has some flaws, and this is some of the flaws of this film. I think they do an okay job by making him somebody who was in touch with his faith, and still is.
Yes.
And so he's somebody that sees the ethical problems with arresting people before they commit crimes. And so in order to ground that in reality, they've given him a faith background where he was going to be a priest, but he went against it. So I think if anything, he goes into those to his investigation with that, armed with that doubt already. So he's trying to find problems. He's not there to just say, if there are problems, I will address them. He wants to. He wants to find them.
He wants to find the problems.
So if anything, I see what you're saying, but I think that's probably where that comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it helps the storytelling quite easy. It helps the storytelling kind of create tension, that he is so kind of gung-ho and almost against, like, you're right, against pre-crime from the start.
Yeah. And he's good at his job as well, which is really important, I think. Like,
he is really good at his job.
He's a bit of a swinging dick kind of DA, but he's good at it. You know, like, he's smart, and he can keep up with them, like, not as much as the technology side of things go, but as far as the discussions about the ethics of it, he can keep up with them, which I think is important for that character. I feel like he does kind of knock him a little hard when it's like when he finds the drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's probably a slightly harsh reaction.
But also as well, like, his face when they're in the elevator and he points the gun at him and he goes,
so good.
Drop the gun. I don't hear any red balls. And he just hears the siren go off and his face drops like hard. I was like, Jesus, man, that's some decent acting.
Look, and that's
right
a great
there.
moment, and it's timed out really
That's a
well.
good
And
moment.
that's kind of Spielberg's like forte, just setting things up and having them pay off. Like,
so good.
He's just having the guy say, "Look, I'll give you 2 minutes before I turn the alarm on." Gives us the opportunity to have that great moment, and that's one of the things that we love about him. Shout out to Scott Frank as well, who wrote the screenplay for this, who is a favourite of mine. We've talked about him a few times. Wrote the screenplay for Logan. Directed a movie that I really, really love called The Lookout.
You've spoken about that before.
Which is one of those movies that I think has just been completely forgotten, which if we ever do one of those underrated episodes, that'll definitely be on my list. I think he's done a really good job, and I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, and they were saying that when he went to Spielberg, because they had scripts, they already had it. And obviously they had the book as well, that Spielberg said to him, just, I want you to pay more attention to the story. Don't worry about the technology. Don't worry about, does he get into a fancy car or like some kind of whiz-bang mobile phone that he picks up? If he needs to use a phone, just say he uses a phone. If he gets into a car, just say he gets into a car. Don't worry about all that other stuff. Make the characters, make the story the focus. we'll figure out the rest of the stuff later. And I think that is a really nice way to approach it for a writer, because you can write a futuristic story without having to worry about the future. Like, you just kind of go,
the technology side of it. Exactly.
Let's just let it be
that is true.
about what I want it to be about, and then we'll fill the gaps later to make it more futuristic.
That's nice. I didn't know that. That's really nice. That's a really good way of going about it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the futuristic stuff, this movie gets brought up a lot as being a really great example of technology, like a realistic example of technology, which I think it's doing a pretty good job of, to be honest, because it was never in that way where it was like, you watch something like Blade Runner and it's a bit, it's really extreme. You know what I mean? Like, everything is, we're not there yet. We're not at that point.
We're not at that point yet.
Typical futuristic movies like, Total Recall is for some reason the one that jumps into my head.
Sure.
We're not there. We're never going to be there. Like, a lot of the things that happen in that movie, it's a real, not simplistic, but it's a very, it's informed by all other sci-fi movies that we've seen, the future that they build. Whereas this one, it seems to be really not so much accurate, but just it's informed by current trends and just kind of just built on slightly.
Yeah, it's the undercurrent. It's like when we did Looper. It's a few, maybe a decade in front of where Looper is sitting. Like,
I like, that's a good example.
You know what I mean? Like, I really like movies that do the future but subtly is a big thumbs up. If you can pull it off well, like, I'm a big fan. Also, like, I'm already, if I were to pick anything from a future that I would want, is a car that I don't have to drive, that I literally get in it and say where I want to go, and it takes me there and goes 100%. As fast as it can.
Yeah.
Like,
safely.
Like that scene where he's like first escaped and he calls Lamar. Those cars aren't just cruising. They're not going 40K. Those things are clicking at quite a fast pace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, bring me that, please.
Let's get those self-driving cars happening, and let's,
exactly.
Let's get,
love that shit.
People not crashing into each other anymore. It would be great.
Exactly. But yeah, you can see that this world, like, Spielberg's really taken this world and put it into the kind of the subtle section. He does overload it a lot in some points. You're getting a nice mixture, to be honest, like, especially with, like, in the sprawl where he gets his eyes changed, that looks like it is right now. Like, you could put that in 2020 and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's
but even the small amounts of technology in that seem very realistic. Like, there's nothing there that's completely out of the ordinary. There's giant televisions, there's slightly more futuristic operating devices and things like that, but as far as, like, the actual structures and things like that go, it's all very similar. We don't have, like, elevators that are going, and things like that.
Exactly.
Like we're watching Star Trek. It's a really different. I mean, obviously that's a bad example because they're thousands of years in the future. But it's it's a typical thing that future films do, is when it's like, we'll just make everything shiny and metallic and everything makes kind of like a cool noise when it operates. But we're not doing that. We're really trying to focus on the natural evolution of technology from that 2002, and I think it's a really nice example of that.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want things scanning my fucking eyeballs, though, when I walk into a supermarket.
Oh, really? You don't like that? You know we're headed in that way.
Well, it's bad enough. I mean, we talked about this before, but it's bad enough that I could have a conversation to you about the most obscure thing. I could say, hey, Nick, I want to buy a caravan. And then I'll open my phone and all of a sudden there'll be something about fucking caravans on there.
Exactly.
That's bad enough.
I literally, before this show, had to look up a watch to buy my father-in-law for his 70th birthday. And then I briefly scanned Instagram and I was already getting watch ads. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, yeah. But then again, I actually really like the scene where Tom is running, and he keeps looking at the side. He's kind of looking around, and the billboards are saying, "Hey, John, would you like a Heineken right now?" Like, I actually kind of like that. I wouldn't mind advertisement like that along if I'm going to catch a train or whatever. Absolutely, I wouldn't mind that. I'd be like, hey,
it's slightly more engaging, I guess, than your run-of-the-mill stuff. I mean,
but I've been told by my wife, though, that advertisement really does work on me. She's like, Jesus, you are a sucker.
Yeah, I can be a sucker for him too.
Yeah, she's like, geez, you live for it. I'm like, hey, Just let me consume a little, okay? I'm going to consume over here. Just let
I'm put on this earth to do one thing.
God
Consume.
damn it. Let me... Jesus Christ. I've got nothing better to do, okay? I've done my exercises. I've cleaned the house. What do you want? What do you want?
That's it,
Let me
man.
buy the cheeseburger.
Exactly. Let me get the cheeseburger. And they went to so much trouble to advertise it to look so delicious. Let me eat it.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm going to get a burger after this, I think. That's all it takes.
So good.
That's all it takes.
So good. So good.
Yeah, very good. I'm going to look at my notes. See what else I got.
Let's give a little moment as well to what is... God damn it. I knew I would do this. Should have looked it up beforehand. What is her name, Tyson?
Samantha Mathis.
Samantha Mathis.
As
Matherton. What is it?
Samantha Mathis, isn't it?
It's not Mathis. Samantha Morton.
Morton. Thank you.
Morton. That's right.
Bad.
She does a stellar job, man.
Oh, she's great.
Jesus.
She's really great.
Really
as
well.
what's that pretty girl's name? I've forgotten. It's got not Audrey. Jesus.
Jesus, we suck. Agatha.
Thank you.
In the scene where he takes her to the futuristic, the guy who sets up the tech, all that stuff, the scene where she's in the mall, like Jesus, she's acting her balls off in that.
Yeah, she's really fantastic. She does a really great job with a difficult role because it's you've got to be.
Yeah, it's not hard.
You've got to be.
Sorry, it wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be kind of because they play it that they're not disabled, but they're kind of they're. I assume it's kind of like a play on autism or something like that. So
yeah, I would say almost like Tourette's. To be honest,
sure.
Like yeah,
so
do you know what I mean? Like
they're
it's
obviously on a spectrum of some description, which means there's the danger there that you can be, you can go simple Jack on it, and but she does such a nice job of just keeping it subtle, keeping it realistic.
Yeah,
The great scene where she's like, I'm so tired of the future. Like, is it now? Yeah. Please let it be now. Like, that's such a we can't understand that emotion, but I think she conveys it really well. That just the exhaustion of forever having to live in a time that isn't her own. Exactly. I think she's really great, really, really great.
And not only that, just plagued by the fact that she keeps seeing her mother die in front of her. Like, and I don't think it's like when I was watching it this time, I don't think she brings up that memory for him. I think that's she can do it, but it happens
it's
naturally.
It's an involuntary response. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it just comes out, and she has no control. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
I think really because she knows that it has a personal touch to her that it just keeps replaying.
Yeah.
And so it's really and how good's that scene where she sees the alternative future, so the future before the son died.
Jesus,
like that it's heartbreaking, and that's because intense. you know that she saw it. This is the thing. She's seen that. This is what happened. And like, as someone that has seen the future, this isn't... Because I remember when I was younger watching that, I used to think that scene was kind of just her, like, not humouring them, but just...
No, but looking into the future for them. Like, kind of going, oh, this is what he would have done. No. This is what he did do.
Yeah, that's exactly...
She saw
this back in the day. This was, she has that information stored away in her head. And now it's gone, and it's not the way it went. And it's just Tom Cruise's reaction to that. That scene is up there for me, because the way that ends when she goes, "Oh, you're going to have to run again,"
and then just screams it. Oh shit! Oh, full on, man.
Gets me every time. It's so effective.
It's because Spielberg's coupled the scream with the sound of the hovercraft, and it adds to it. It adds so much to it. Jesus,
you're right.
It's good.
That what it reminds me of? That shot in Avengers Endgame where it pulls out to the Avengers headquarters and the big ship is floating around there. It's the same kind of shot.
I don't remember that. I need to watch Endgame again. What scene was that?
Where after the bombs, like. It's just before when the missiles go off, when Ant-Man gets shot with the missiles, and they have that wide shot of Avengers HQ with the big ship there.
Oh, yeah. Good scene.
Good scene.
Good scene.
Yes, I'm just gonna have a little squiz at my notes and see what
Give me some noties. Give me some. What do you got? Because I think I've done mine.
Yeah, look, I'm
just
almost.
By talking.
The other thing that frustrates me a little bit with this movie, and I think stops it from being like a real all-timer for me is the odd moments of comedy. I don't know how you feel about that.
What are we talking about?
Well, so
there's
the kid playing the saxophone when the guys crush through into the room.
I don't think, yeah.
Him busting in on the weird yoga people.
Yeah.
The weird kind of chasing after his eyeball, like it's suddenly a, you know,
that's really true. Those comedy bits are fucking stupid, aren't they? Like, especially that running after the eyeball. I hate that scene. I'm like, why did you put that in?
It's just, it's fine that he can drop it, but it's shot like a comedy, and he's running in this weird kind of like way where his arms and legs are all going sideways. It's fine that he can drop it, but for me, they're playing it for a laugh as opposed to playing it for a serious kind of like stressful
and like
moment.
a thriller. Oh my God, we're just about to lose. Yeah.
Think something like Mission Impossible where he's hanging upside down and he nearly drops that thing. You know, that's that's fucking intense, right? But
go for that.
For some reason, it comes across as comedy in this, and I don't get why.
No, that's true. I don't mind the comedy that's there that's not as on the nose as those moments, like when he goes and sees his friend who's into the virtual reality, and you're seeing like what they're into, like the fact that the guy comes there, and I love how serious it is. He goes, "I want to kill my boss."
Oh,
and he
yeah,
goes, "Oh yeah, you got any images for me to work with?" He goes, "No, I want to kill my boss." And he goes, "Get out of here, you sick bastard!" Like, and then you see the guy. Like, those moments are funny. Those are funny moments.
That's built into character, so it's okay. But
exactly,
that's why that stuff works. That's fine. It's when it's out of the blue and it has no character relevance whatsoever.
It's weird.
You know, even something like, to a lesser extent, because I do love the scene, but it feels like a different director directed the eyeball surgery scene. Where we've got,
really?
Yeah, because we've got this woman with the giant mole who is just taking a dump and comes out from behind the thing. It's like, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like 12 Monkeys. It reminds me of Terry Gilliam style.
Yeah, it's a very 12 Monkeys scene, isn't it? Jesus. And I love that actor. I think he's fucking
Peter Stormare.
Whenever he just pops up,
he's worth every penny that people pay him, and it's probably not a lot because he's one of those guys that just wants to work. But he is worth every cent. Get him in your movie. He's such good value.
So good. Yeah. Especially he's the best bit of Armageddon. For some reason, he always sticks out.
He's the best bit in a heap of movies. How great is he in Constantine, where he just falls through as Satan falls through the gooey sky and just talks shit to him?
Yeah. Oh God, he makes a great Satan. He's probably the best Satan. Have we talked about this before?
I think we have.
Who's the best screen Satan?
He's up there as one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah. I don't like the scene where they crash through the roof. I think it's pointless action. It's like, really, we're going through a roof. That's what you're going to do here. You're going to go through the roof when you could be when he's jumped on the jetpack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they keep bumping, and they go through the dinner table, and like, the dinner table while they're having dinner. Yay, big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And you know what? The shot where the hovercraft burns the meat, I'm like, that is hands down probably the biggest waste of celluloid ever. Like, who gives a fucking shit if the hovercraft is burning their dinner? Who cares?
Well, it's so strange.
Someone
for a movie
just came through their floor.
Yeah, the movie's so good at being serious about other things.
Yeah,
like usually in a movie like this, I would be saying about how it has tone problems because it tries to be too funny. But aside from those moments, it's not like the rest of the movie leans on those comedic moments. They actually just feel like
naturally funny.
Well, like dismissible. Like you kind of just go, oh, all right, well, that was weird. But back to the actual movie. You know what I mean? It doesn't. They actually feel like they're like deleted scenes or outtakes or something that just still ended up in the movie. They don't feel like part of this movie.
True.
So I find them easier to like if someone else had directed this or if it was a worse movie, these funny moments would be a real cause of problem for me. Where I'd be like, the tone of this movie's fucked. But in this movie, it just I just kind of go, yeah, all right, whatever.
You just go,
chase the eyeball.
That was weird.
Yeah,
move on.
Let's move on.
Move on.
Because he goes from chasing the eyeball to a really pretty great scene where he's trying to,
because he doesn't know what he's going to do.
Agatha out.
You don't know what he's going to do with Agatha.
Yeah.
You're like, how the fuck is he going to get out of there now?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, oh, so good, so good.
Yeah, look, that's probably the only other thing, and I like to bring it back because we do talk about this often. Tom Cruise is the best runner in all movies.
He runs fast in this. There's some fast running.
I love that this movie makes mention of him being his son's running coach.
I know. I heard it.
like,
and Dad, I want to run as fast as you one day. I was like, ooh,
mate.
We're a little...
Hey, is there a better running coach than Tom Cruise? I don't think there is. This kid.
I don't think there is.
If this kid made
it, maybe maybe Usain Bolt. Just saying.
Nah, man.
Just saying.
Tom Cruise will give him a run for his money.
Tom Cruise.
If you put like some kind of bomb that he has to defuse at the end of the 100-meter track, Tom Cruise would get there. I reckon he'd get there quick.
That's true.
Yeah.
The only other note that I have is that do you think that because it's Minority Report's CGI in not all moments, in some moments. I'm not talking about the spiders. I'm not talking about the flashback scenes or any of that stuff or all that. I'm talking about the cars on the freeway and what is the other scene? Like the hovercraft looks great. I'm just saying that in a couple of years, Minority Report's unfortunately going to be one of those movies that the CGI is going to age a little.
I think the best moments in this movie by far is the practical stuff. Like I'm really impressed with the hovercraft stuff, the jetpack stuff. I think that stuff all looks so good. You're right. It's the cars. It's like when they go to the prison and all those things rise up out of the ground.
The cells.
That kind of stuff. And that's unfortunate because that's just 2002-ness. But I think they're made worse by what we were talking about before with the way that he saturates the light. I think it accents it in a bad way. Like that freeway
was way too lit, wasn't it?
It was way too bright.
That freeway was way too late.
And if he wasn't so fascinated with that as a kind of technique at that stage, I think it might have aged a little bit better because it wouldn't. He would have been using shadows a bit more effectively and trying to kind of hide some of these facts. Maybe even would have put that chase scene at night where you can hide some of those elements. But yeah, so I'm with you. I think it's because it had been a while since I watched it, and I usually hold this up as an example of really great CGI. That was my memory of it. It's not so much the CGI stuff that I'm coming back to anymore. It's definitely the practical stuff that I think is far better.
Yeah, and it's the story as well.
And the story. The story is super effective.
Good.
Yeah, and we only touched on it, but it really does have, as far as a Phillip K. Dick kind of, we expect a certain amount of thematic questions when we go into one of his adaptations. And I think it does a really good job of presenting that. Even something like Blade Runner. Blade Runner's questions on humanity and stuff are a little bit more. They're not so much related to the plot itself. They're a little bit more underneath the surface of it. You know what I mean? The plot is about a guy, trying to stop these robots, these killer robots. Really, if you dumb down Blade Runner, that's what it is. But this, it's funny because the ethical choices are actually the plot. The plot of this movie is whether or not pre-crime should exist as a thing.
Should exist.
And if this guy kills this person, it will prove that it does. It should exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting in that way because it presents them much more integral to the plot. And even if it does feel like digestible Spielberg, like easily digestible Spielberg, it just really isn't. It's got a lot more on its mind than what you may think on a first watch. You might go into it just being like, oh yeah, it's Tom Cruise sci-fi with Spielberg directing. But in order to even really I think we enjoy it so much because we like those questions. You know what I mean? We like having those conversations.
Yeah. So true. This is probably not, and I don't do this. There's no other movie that I think, maybe one or two, that I would think this. I would like to see this movie done by someone like Fincher, who's a little bit more into the dark. Does that make sense?
I get what you mean.
A little bit grittier, a little bit more violent, a little bit more maybe push the boundaries of pre-crime and see where we can go with it. Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from.
It has the ability to really get gritty and fucked, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. That's not to say that I don't think that Spielberg is touching on those elements and doing it really well. I just, want to see it darker, but that's just me,
Spielberg's doing what he can, but he's still always going to be bound by the Spielbergness. Like,
exactly.
there is a certain part of him that always needs to make a movie that... Look, he gets away with it every now and then with, like, Schindler's List and Munich and stuff like that, but...
Yeah.
Those
aren't movies that, even this movie a 12-year-old could watch and love.
Yes, I agree. And, it's... Especially now, I think Spielberg's not going to... It's going to take him a while to make another, another Schindler's List or another Munich. Munich's really the most weirdest one in the bunch. Munich sticks out like dog's balls.
I haven't seen Munich. Is Munich good? Have you seen it?
But it's just the complete like the way he ignores all of the things that make Spielberg movies. No, that's not true. But the it's such an adult movie. Like, you're not, there isn't an inkling. And even in something like Schindler's List, like they show Schindler's List to kids in high school. Like, there's an accessibility to it. You know what I mean? So even if it's dealing with heavy shit, it's easily accessible because it's Spielberg and he does that really well. But I think you're right. If we got somebody in there who is not easily accessible, who makes movies that it's like, no, fuck you. It's not going to be...
put this in your face a little.
Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable to watch some of this stuff. I think, you're right. It would make for a really interesting movie, I think. For sure.
Side note, at the very start, if you are going to have an affair with a married woman... You don't hang out the very fucking front.
Look, I mean, there's a lot of problems going on in that first scene, I think, as far as, not in the movie's problems, in the character's problems. That guy's an idiot, the husband's an idiot, the wife's an idiot. They're all idiots, basically, is what's saying. And...
exactly.
Yeah. Don't hang around out the front looking like the shiftiest motherfucker ever with your duster.
Absolute shiftiest,
your streakers
man.
Jacket that he's rocking.
Exactly.
Looks like he's about to go fucking flash some kids in the playground. They should have arrested him for that anyway.
8 o'clock in the morning? 8 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that's peak children time if you're a flasher. I mean...
Oh, fucking flashes. Are you kidding me?
You'll get the most eyeballs around that time.
Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Now I'm going to the park. I'm going to watch for a man in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Wait, get the fuck away.
Dude, tell me you're not. Surely, isn't that parenting 101?
No, that is parenting 101.
See man in a trench coat at park.
You have no idea.
Be suspicious.
You have no idea. Me at the park, there are so many times where Sam's gone, oi, can you relax? All right? That's just a man who wants to go on a swing.
Yeah, well,
he's got a kid. I'm like, does he? Does he have a swing? Does he have a kid? Yeah, I don't see him. Where's his kid? And Sam has to point it out. I'm like, oh shit, that's his son. Okay, cool. All right, he's allowed here. I'm gonna fucking.
I know, but put on a bomber jacket or something. Don't be rocking those weird trench coats.
Don't be scary, man.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
This is a kid's playground, man. Come on. Oh damn.
Nick, should we move on to our next segment?
Let's do it.
All right, you're gonna have to count me in, my man.
Oh yeah, which is
what did you watch this week?
Yeah.
Nicely done. So, Nick, I did send you a message because I was watching something and I thought you might enjoy it and we'd have a bit of a chat about it, which is
go on.
I was just going to say, was the top trending film on Netflix last week.
Oofed.
So what did you think of The Old Guard, Nick?
Tyson, I am really happy that you told me to watch this.
Oh, good.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
me too.
Especially I think because I knew nothing. I went in full blind. Obviously, right. I had seen a lot of people on Letterboxd. It's in the very popular section.
Yeah.
Popular this week, and everyone's watching it. I was like, oh yeah, I wonder what that is. And in my brain, I was clicking over Talkin Trailers. I'm like, did we see a trailer for that? Have we done it?
I think we did.
No?
We did, but we think we decided not to do it because the trailer wasn't really like. Great conversation point. I think we we did do it though.
I think we did. Anyway, it doesn't.
Must have been a really memorable trailer. Yeah, no, exactly.
Obviously, yeah. So in what I chucked it on, and so them being immortal. So I'm not gonna obviously no spoilers because it's quite fresh. Being immortal and going through the tropes of what that is, I really enjoyed it. Now. In saying that, I enjoyed the characters. The characters in it, I thought, held up the movie really well.
I would agree.
And I think the only thing that may have lacked a little was a little bit of the storyline, and it just kind of stagnated for a little bit longer than I would have liked. But overall, man, I really liked it.
I'd agree with you there. I think it relied too much on the generic kind of we're going to try and find out what makes these people tick and turn it into technology to save people, blah 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 blah. I feel like any movie, anything that's ever dealt with superpowers or mutants or immortality or anything like that has had a element to it where big corporation kidnaps one of them and tries to do their thing. And exactly. And I think this movie relied on that a little bit too heavily, but I agree completely that I was just really engaged with the characters. I thought they were it was such a unique bunch of characters to have in a film like this. Charlize Theron, who is really making cutting a nice little niche for herself as this action heroine who really, now that she's older as well, has got just this like real striking figure. Like she's just like, she looks like, when she looks angry, you're just like, fuck man. I don't want to piss off Charlize.
Man, you wouldn't fuck with Furiosa, man.
No way.
Don't fuck with her. She will beat the absolute shit out of you.
And she does it. It's just so effortless for her. And like obviously the action scenes, she nails it. Like the two gay guys as well, which was such a refreshing thing to see in a movie like this, where I'm just like, hey man, they're just letting these gay guys do their thing, and it's great.
Oh yeah, how beautiful. I'll talk about one scene. I don't want to spoil it too much, but that one scene where they get captured and one of the security guards goes, well, what is he, your boyfriend? And he literally flips the coin on him and goes, yeah, fuckhead.
Like, well, I mean, and that's like, it. He tells him, yeah, fuckhead, in the most poetic and beautiful way.
Beautiful fucking way I have ever seen ever. It was so great. I was
it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And because, it's this whole thing that, you can't have. It's so nice to see characters like that in an action movie like this, because they're usually mutually exclusive. Like we talk about something like where we watched, The Rock not that long ago, and we saw how they used to present homosexual characters as the hairdresser who screams and yells when someone bursts through the window and things like that, and says, darling, and
talks
about their hair. Whereas in this, these guys can fuck you up, and they are legit action stars. And it's nice to see, exist in a world where, it's funny, I haven't heard a lot of, after I saw it, I was like, why haven't I heard all the, the terrible people on the internet?
Yeah,
they actually haven't, it hasn't been really vocal as far as I've noticed.
They have talked about it. Not a lot of people, in the things that I've read about the old guard, it's not as everyone thought it was going to be amazing, and I think it didn't match their expectations.
Yeah, generally I'm with you. What I've read has been that people are basically like, it's pretty good, and and that's fine,
and that's it.
Not everything has to be
good.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I am hands down a big fan of the characters, especially because you felt for them from the get-go. Like that first mission all the way through, they were a family. They've been together throughout this whole thing. And then it just keeps laying in these beautiful, nice pieces. So at the end, when things go tits up, as movies do, you care about what's happening or what's going to happen to these people.
100%. They build that rapport really well. Also, even some of the mythology stuff I found really interesting, because I don't want to spoil it, but the way that they obviously they've been around for a long time, and so in a lot of ways they they've had to deal with certain forms of torture and things like that. But the way they find the way that they write in for one of the characters to kind of basically meet their fate, was so inventive for this, because it made me actually get anxious watching it, going, oh my God, I can't actually think of anything worse. I can't actually think of anything worse.
I think they, I had to, there was kind of a pause there where I had to kind of stop and go, it's probably hands down the most horrific thing I've ever seen in a movie ever. Yeah. Like, you're not talking horror films, not talking any of that. You're talking, that is probably the worst thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it made me feel sick to my stomach thinking about it. And I was like, that is such an inventive way to think about
it is,
what
right?
you would
That's
do
some nice
to a character like this. And the other thing that I really love, and obviously this is all probably coming from the source material. It's not saying this doesn't make the movie inherently good because of these things, but it's just a great story. But I really love that the immortality is kind of
careful.
No, because I think they mention it pretty early in the film that it's not fluid, but they're immortal basically until they're not. Like, because that's it. It's in the first scene because that's why. Because she says,
"All right, we're getting the cat out of the bag."
She wants to make sure that they all made it through.
Yeah.
So
That's true,
they get killed repeatedly and wake up, but every now and then you just stop waking up. And so a movie like, and I read people saying that there's no stakes in this movie because they're immortal, and I'm like, are you watching the same movie?
What
like,
are you?
It's an actual plot point in this movie that yes, they're immortal, but it doesn't last forever until a point, and you don't know when that point is, which means that they're effectively human, just on repeat.
Yeah.
So when they go out and go get into a battle, they don't just storm through and go, well, if I get shot, I get shot. There's still the danger that if they get shot, it's the one that's going to do it.
It's their last one. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that was really clever too.
Yeah, it was. Speaking of Colin Farrell and people I wanted to punch, fuck me, god damn it, that fucking villain who was, what was his name?
It was Dudley Dursley or whatever.
Dudley Dursley from fucking Harry Potter. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to kill him. I love how shoot his face.
He's grown into like exactly what you think he would look like. And then what was the other character from Harry Potter who grew into like the hottest dude ever?
Scummy bastard. Yeah, Neville.
So you had Neville Longbottom and Dursley.
Neville's a fucking.
And you look at them both, and you're like, who's going to grow out to be better looking? And you're like, well, they're both going to look. They're going to be dumpster fires. But he's
no way.
Neville's like this model, and Dursley looks exactly like you think he would.
Exactly. Jesus Christ.
He's got
so
John C. Reilly head.
He does. He does have John C. Reilly head.
Yeah,
I agree. The only other thing with this is I don't want to give too much away, but the last 10 minutes, it was a bit too much for me. It was a bit too much. I was like, oh no, you could have left it there, but you're going to do that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I understand where you're going, but yeah, no.
I think in the need to set up a sequel, which I'm 100% okay with, to be honest. Like, let's do a sequel. I think
it was just a bit. Yeah,
I just don't think they made an entirely satisfying conclusion. I'm with you. I was a bit kind of like, the ending is not the greatest part of this movie at all. But at least it did enough to make me want to go. If they did make a second one, which I think they will, because did you see Netflix actually released some figures for the first time ever?
No. So
they released their top 5 streams, and Old Guard was one of them, and it was something like 68 million streams or something.
Damn.
Like, so if you could imagine, like, I mean, that's out of control. Like, it's amazing. If they converting that to a monetary figure is completely impossible, because you'd be looking at like billions of dollars. And of course, not everybody who watches it at home would have paid to see it in the cinema. But that's enough for them to go, oh yeah, let's make another one.
Sequel.
So I think that sequel is going to happen, and I'm happy about that because I want to spend more time with these characters. Hopefully, we get a slightly more satisfying conclusion, because I do think the finale was a bit of a letdown.
But it was just. Like, I don't mind a setup, just not that much of a setup. Like, it was a bit too much for me. Like,
you're talking about the very last scene?
No. I'm talking about the last 10.
Okay, sure.
Including that last scene.
I was all about the last scene, by the way.
I was all about the last scene. I was like, oh, shit! Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, like, I'm used to movies, Tyson, where they don't know whether they're going to do a sequel, and they'll just tuck in a little teaser just in case, their fucking ticket sales go through the roof. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for that. I'm not used to.
It was ballsy of them to not put
we're gonna set
credits.
up. We're literally going to set up a franchise. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Let's calm down a bit. We need to, let's finish this one and then we'll get there.
I wonder if they film a scene like that and then take note of the reaction to the trailers and the excitement and the buzz, and they have people that monitor how many times people have searched, when does the old guard release date, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's people that go, okay, so the interest is there, let's put the teaser in as the last scene.
Damn.
I wonder if that's somebody's job.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
They probably do nowadays. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
they didn't used to, but now that they can.
Well, they used to just take a gamble on it, and that's how we got, the end of Super Mario Brothers.
Back to the Future 2. Exactly. Oh, what did you say?
The end of Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, fuck. That's a pass.
You guys are never going to believe this. Is that what she says? Something like that. Anyway.
Fucking Super Mario Brothers. Tyson, what else did you watch this week?
Look, we'll just... I watched a ton of shit, but it's probably better to save some of it.
Anything you want to mention?
I'll just mention a few things quickly. Why not? Let's have a look. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, okay. This is worth me. I rewatched The Doors. Oliver Stone, because I
wanted to do that.
He's got a kind of a director's Ultimate Edition thing floating around on Blu-ray that I picked up a little while ago because I was really interested, because Doors has always been one of those movies that I'm like, I half like. I'm like, I want to like it a lot more than I do, and so I thought that I would get this director's, Ultimate Edition, which has the theatrical cut on it as well. And I was like, great, bonus. I'm sorted for life now. I've got
done.
I can settle.
I got all of it.
But as it turns out, it's literally one scene. He cut one scene. That was all he did.
Oh, fuck.
Really? I know, right? And I didn't find out till afterwards. And I was watching bits, and I think it was actually just the transfer, because the transfer would vary in quality wildly on this Blu-ray. This is it's not a great looking Blu-ray. And so I would watch bits, and the transfer would improve suddenly, and I'd be like, oh, this might be a new scene, cool, or this might be just a slightly extended scene. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Anyway, I read later that I was completely full of shit. It was just the last scene. He just cut it because he didn't think narratively it drove it the full way through. And apparently the only other differences are slightly shorter cuts and things like that. Just maybe cut like 1 second difference on a cut here or shorter here.
Sure.
And I end up feeling exactly the same way I feel about it than I ever did. Sometimes I go into it and the first half an hour I'm all about it. The next half an hour I'm like, this movie's garbage. And then the last hour I'm like, oh, you're just so close to being really, really great movie. It's such a roller coaster ride of a movie for me, The Doors. It was a shame that this Blu-ray wasn't better quality, to be honest. I at least thought that the transfer it'd be really nice to have a really great visual quality, but it is so grainy. It's like I love a bit of picture grain. I really do, because it makes you feel like you're seeing the film stock a bit more. It's like it's flashing in the background, the grain. Like it's so prominent. It almost feels like one of those ones where that's been added.
What year was The Doors?
Doors is like 92 or something. 91, 92.
Right.
But yeah, like it's not a bad movie by any stretch. It's still, I still like it because it still feels like Oliver Stone. And it has a lot of his fingerprints all over it, and I really enjoy Oliver Stone, as we know.
You do,
but yeah, it's just I think that's maybe it. I think if I didn't love Oliver Stone so much, I'd probably like this movie a lot more. But because I love him, and because I have such high esteem for like Platoon and Born on the 4th of July and Natural Born Killers and JFK, this one feels like the miss in amongst those ones.
I remember watching it, and in like every teenager has a Doors phase. I'm
still in my Doors phase. I love
You're still in your Doors phase? I wanted to love it so much, and I remember loving the first half, and then I remember it just kind of fading. Like nothing happened. Well, that's all I remember anyway.
Sure.
I'd love to rewatch it again, though. I really, really would, because I know that even watching it as a teenager, knowing that Val Kilmer was putting on a mad performance. Like, his performance of Jim is next level.
Yeah, I didn't even mention it because it's one of those ones that you forget that it's like not actually Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison,
this.
exactly.
He's so good, and it's so good that when in my memory, when I think of Jim Morrison now, I think of Val Kilmer. I don't think of actual Jim Morrison. Like that's the effect that he's had. But yeah, it's funny because I feel like it'd be funny to watch it again now that we're in a position where the musical biopic has been kind of flogged to death. And we now watch it and we're just like, God, I can't stand this format anymore. It's funny to watch a movie that actually sticks to it really pretty closely.
Yeah, right.
But is in the hands of a batshit crazy director who who never does anything normally or by the numbers, and so you get it's basically like Bohemian Rhapsody, but if you're on acid, and that's a great it ends up being a really good fun experiment to look at the musical biopic that way.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah,
nice.
I don't know if I want to talk about anything else this week. I might. Oh, do you know what else I'll talk about? Actually,
go on.
I watched for the first time Legends of the Fall. Nicholas, you ever seen
Brad Pitt, Tyson.
Yeah.
Bit of Brad Pitt.
Oh,
I have not seen that. No,
I'm just doing a bit of a classic movies that I've never watched. I
like it.
And there's a few others that I might talk about next week, depending how I go with my watching this week. Legend of the Fall was such a strange experience, Nick, because I did not expect it to be quite as ridiculous as it is.
Okay. Isn't it just a nice romantic...
Okay, you tell me. You tell me what you think Legends of the Fall is.
Legends of the Fall. It's a nice romantic movie of two people. I don't know. I haven't really... seen it. It's got Brad Pitt on the cover. There's a bit of fishing happening, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
In the woods, Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, right. So this is where I kind of went with it as well. I was expecting a kind of an old school, a sweeping romance with some drama in there. There's a bit of war, that's what you get. But you also get so much shit in this movie happens. I could not believe how much was going on. Brad Pitt cuts dudes' hearts out. That's what you need to know about this movie. Anthony Hopkins has a stroke and then acts the second half of the movie squinting with half of his face kind of pulled to one side.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, I don't know it doesn't matter who you are. You can be Anthony Hopkins. Sir Anthony Hopkins. You try to act that you've had a stroke with a squint and your face funny. It's not working. It's not working for anybody.
Can't do it?
No.
It's a pass?
It's a hard pass because it makes me giggle like you wouldn't believe. There are people, so many people die, so many people just, it is tragedy porn, this movie as well. It's just when you think things are going to work out, you're just like, oh my God, something else.
Really?
I described it as 8 seasons of a lifetime drama rolled into 2 hours. And I didn't expect it at all because I'm like you. I thought it was kind of like your typical kind of not fun,
fried green tomatoes or Sense and Sensibility or something.
Yeah, maybe a bit more along those lines. But yes, there's war and there's tragedy and obviously people are going to die because that's the kind of movies. But its focus is on the romance and it's on the vistas of the beautiful vistas of wherever the fuck they are, Montana or some shit.
Who cares?
Oh my God, it is fucking outrageous what happens in this movie. And I was just completely blown away because I was constantly entertained, but obviously could not believe what I was seeing. This is
right.
I don't understand why more people don't talk about this movie for being as batshit crazy as it is. It's ridiculous.
Legends of the Fall.
Yeah,
really?
Who knew? Incredible score and shot like nothing else. Just beautiful to look at. But fuck me.
Who directed Legends of the Fall?
Edward Zwick of Last Samurai. Speaking of
Last Samurai, fan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson, I'm only going to talk about two things because, like you, I've done a shitload of watching. But one I will talk about that I have to because when we think about our top 10 films that we love,
yes,
it's very rare that a comedy is in there. A comedy that funny and gets you every single time that it's in there. And this is one for me that it is in my top 10. I don't know where, but it's in there. 2000's Best in Show. I talked about it before.
Very good.
So those of you who are familiar with the Christopher Guest-verse, he does have a kind of a universe where all the actors come in and play different characters each time. He's done it was originally This Is Spinal Tap, but he didn't direct that one. So he was in This Is Spinal Tap, but then took that kind of mockumentary element, which I'm a big fan of. Like I talked about last week in our 2014, and What We Do in the Shadows is kind of the same thing. So this Best in Show is, Tyson, it had 6 pages of script. This is why I love it. 6 pages of script, and the actors were allowed to do what they wanted. That is it. They had their characters. They kind of knew what they want. It's literally about just a couple of people who own dogs and are taking them to a dog show, and that to compete in a dog show, and that is literally it. And hilarity ensues. Like, I am laughing from woe to go in this sucker. I'm a big fan of Christopher Guest. I do love him. This is probably the best for me of his films, because he's got others like this and then A Mighty Wind. For Your Consideration was a bit different, but
I loved For Your Consideration. I was a big fan of that.
Did you like that one?
Yeah, I really liked it.
It was good. For Your Consideration, Waiting for Guffman, and the new one, which is Mascots, which came out about, I think, 4 years ago.
Oh, of course. I have not seen
Mascots. That. Yeah, watch it. Is
it good?
Look, it's not the caliber of this. Okay. Or it's not up there, but it's still, I like Mascots.
Have you watched you watched any Schitt's Creek?
No, Sam's watched shitloads.
Yeah,
she loves it.
Rachel loves it. I know heaps of people that are obsessed with it, and it's what I've seen of it. It seems like especially Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, you can see that they've really kind of their comic stylings have been shaped by their time with those guys. You can tell for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, Best in Show. I'm a big fan. Love it. Huge fan.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. What else can I talk about? I'll just quickly give an update on Bond watching.
Oh, so back on the Bond watching.
Back on the Bonds, yeah. Because I had to go back to work after watching, what was the Bond?
I think the last time we talked about was Living Daylights. Or License to Kill.
License to Kill. So I just finished Dalton, and I wanted to leave because GoldenEye, Tyson. GoldenEye.
Of course.
I wanted to, because I was watching them during the day, I was like, well, maybe GoldenEye's where I start watching them at night. It's a bit of an evening event. Maybe get some popcorn out, do that. And I thought, fuck it, I'll just watch it. And so, yeah, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and today I just finished The World Is Not Enough. And GoldenEye, it was good. Wasn't as good as I remember.
Okay, interesting.
GoldenEye was my first Bond. That I think
it was for our generation.
It's kind of our first Bond. Yeah. GoldenEye. It was good. Tomorrow Never Dies. I hold quite high as well, so it's kind of level with GoldenEye for me. Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies is not too bad. It's a good Bond. Yeah, The World Is Not Enough, though. Jesus Christ, what an absolute droll piece of shit.
Oh, and you haven't even gotten to Die Another Day yet, and you're already hanging shit on this one. That one's going to be like a masterpiece next to Die Another Day.
But the thing is, The World Is Not Enough. It wasn't. No one was taking over the world. No one was kind of. There was no. There was nothing.
Lied to me.
This was bullshit. It was a oil mistress who wanted to take over some oil. And
who's the bad guy in World Is Not Enough? I get them mixed up.
Well, it's not. It's because you think that it's What's his name? What is his name? His name is
Jonathan Pryce?
Robert Carlyle.
Robert Carlyle.
No, Robert Carlyle.
Okay, I've got him the wrong way around.
You think that it's him, but it's not him. It's actually her. It's the double cross. It's Sophie Marceau. She's the villain. She's the villain.
Sophie Marceau. Yeah.
Yeah, Marceau, sorry. She's the villain. She's the one that's twisting the knife and doing all that stuff. It's kind of nice. There are some elements in World Is Not Enough that are okay. Like the first half is good. It hits a point and then just does a steep dive. It's kind of when Denise Richards comes in, unfortunately.
Sure. I've only ever seen Tomorrow Never Dies and World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day once. So
really?
Die Another Day is so memorable for all the wrong reasons, though. But for some reason, Tomorrow Never Dies and World Is Not Enough get really mixed up in my brain. I hear moments of plot and I'm like, which one's that one from? That's from that one. Yeah. And I'll never be able to clear that up in my head. And unless I go back and watch them again.
It's so funny, during this Bond watch, there's been so many moments where I'll be watching a scene and I'll pause it and go, hang on a minute, how did we get here? How do we know about this? And I'll fucking rewind 20 seconds and go, oh, okay, so we know it from that. Okay.
Dude, you've done very well. I'm very proud of you for getting this far through it. You committed.
Finish, don't you worry.
I got to fucking GoldenEye. No.
No.
What's it called?
Goldfinger.
I was about to say Gold Member. I'm like, no, that's not it.
That's Austin Powers.
Yeah, and that's where I stopped because I was like, I need a break, and I've never gone back.
No, man. Powered through. I've always wanted to watch them.
You've done
always
really
wanted
well.
to watch them.
Very well.
So, yeah. And I think the difference between The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day, because I don't know why, but I've seen Die Another Day a bit. I think I saw it at the cinema. I think it was free.
It just pops up on television a lot too. Like, God, it's always on television. They never put Tomorrow Never Dies on television. It's always
or Goldeneye, for that matter. Or Goldeneye. Where the fuck was Goldeneye?
You're right. It's always World Is Not Enough.
Always World Is Not Enough. Who the fuck? What's that? Anyway, the difference, I think, between the two is that World Is Not Enough takes itself seriously to a point, whereas Die Another Day goes, you know what? The shit is going to hit the fan.
No, you're
Let's
right.
have a fucking insane batshit time.
You know what'll be fun?
And
James Bond should abseil down this wave. What's it called? Windsurf. Abseil? That's not what I meant to say at all.
Windsurf. Yeah. I think. How about this? How about instead of missiles, how about the car just becomes invisible?
Oh, now you're talking.
And you're like,
talking.
I like what Jeff said.
What
I like what Jeff. Jeff, what else have you got?
Diamonds in his face.
Oh, I like what Tyson just said. Yeah. Let's keep that as well.
Hey, we had a guy with metal teeth. Why can't we have a guy with just metal face?
Exactly. Can we call him Diamond Head? That's going a bit far. Okay, going a bit far. Let's pull it back.
Take it back a notch.
But that's the thing. Like watching Die Another Day is kind of like watching Justice League. You watch it and go, oh, Jesus, that was bad. Moving on. You have fun with it. You just go, God, that was shit. Keep going.
Well, not next year, Nick. Next year it's going to be a whole different story. I think we might wrap it up there, Nicholas. Shall we wrap it up there?
That's it, Tyson.
Why don't you remind the people at home where they can find our show?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, if you've gotten this far, thank you. And by the way, we love you very much. My name is Nicholas. This is my good friend Tyson. We put out a podcast and we hope that you like it through these hard times. And if you do, please like, review, subscribe, poke, if that's a thing. Poke our podcast. Do it.
Get right in
Who
there.
knows?
Just like jam it in.
That's the thing. Because of this Bond, I'm all about fucking innuendos. My God, it's fucking very bad.
I bet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I find myself laughing and Sam's like, Nick, that wasn't funny. I was like, I know, but Jesus, it kind of was.
That's what she said, like alarm
exactly.
just going off at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. How much pumping is needed, James? Anyway, it's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are after anything else that Nic Tys puts out, we are on the social medias. So jump on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can see other stuff that we've put out. Other than that, Tyson and myself are on the Letterboxd staff. If you don't know what it is, jump on it. It's a free app which you can log and rate, review all of your movies you're watching, that your friends are watching. You can be friends with your friends or friends with us. If you want to be friends with us or follow us, you can do that. Following Tyson is TYS_videotape, and I am Nic, NIC_videotape.
That's it. And look, any listeners at home, I'm seeing a lot of people at the moment, because of obviously life being as it is, asking that eternal question on Facebook. Hey, do you guys know what are some good podcasts?
What are some good podcasts? That's where you
come in, people. If you could do us the biggest favour of all time, and if you see someone ask that question, throw Nic Tys the way. Just throw it in there.
Do it.
And it doesn't matter. They might not love it. They might not like it at all. They might think you're a fucking idiot for suggesting it because it's so trash. But we will love you, and that's what's important.
We would love you for it, exactly. And if you do it, we would love you.
Oh, man. All the points for the rest of life.
All the points. All of them.
All of them, indeed. Nicholas.
Exactly. Tyson.
Next week,
we will be watching District 9. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, Neil Blomkamp.
I think that's how you say it, yeah. Blomkamp.
I'm a big fan of Neil Blomkamp. This movie is blew me out of the water the first time I saw it.
It was a real experience seeing this for the first time. Introducing us to Charlotte Copley as well.
Yes, Charlotte Copley,
which has he's been a very interesting addition to leading male.
He has
Hollywood films because he's such a weird unit. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this one again. Nick, this was probably my favorite movie of that year. 2009? 2010.
2008? 2010. I'm going to say 10. Yeah.
Because this was that great year where it managed to, because we had 10 Best Picture nominations, that somehow District 9 got nominated for Best Picture, and it was just like...
Exactly.
What a world. What a world we live in, that this crazy action sci-fi movie about a guy turning into a giant prawn can get nominated for Best Picture. I love the world. So I am really excited to watch this one again, Nick. That's going to be a lot of fun.
So good. It was 2009, Tyson.
Okay,
so yes, we'll be watching District 9, ladies and gentlemen.
So
if
watch
you
it with
care
us.
to watch it with us.
Yeah. And then join in the chat with us next week. Exactly. All right, Nick. I will talk to you then, buddy.
Tyson. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Bye.